blessing. God. That's tough, nah, that's tough. Ain't nobody doing it like that, nobody.
Be the hardest picture of the Gamecock photo shoot. That is hard. I'm in the new zone.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you couldn't tell, I was working 2 sets this year with the Gamecock football team. One was more of a standard setup, and the other was something a little more crazy that I built out of 10 Pro Light mods. I mean, I've got them, so why not? In just a second, we'll do a set-by-set walk around. But let me add, if you want something more in depth, jump over to my Patreon, and you can see a full progression of the shoot with one of the players. It's close to 45 minutes, somewhere in there, if I'm not mistaken. All right, let's skip the intro and get over to the set. All right, everyone, welcome to the set of the 2020, what we call Gamecock Football Showcase shoot. This is the morning of day 5, so excuse my voice. It's a little worn out from the week, and hell, I'm just pretty much worn out all over. But I've got my sets behind me. We did 2 setups this year, and let's walk through them. All right, so my first setup is kind of our standard with the black backdrop over here. But what I've got, we'll just start back here in the back. This is my fill light, a 7-foot Westcott silver umbrella with the Manfrotto B1. You can see by the towel down here, this is where I position myself during the shoots. And this is the view from camera right here. So on the right hand side, I've got the 1x6 Manfrotto strip with a D2. It takes a lot more light to get through that strip box. So when I have the opportunity, I will use a D2 that plugs in, so I'm not having to worry about the battery power on that light. Behind it, and usually higher up when we're working here, is a Manfrotto with the reflector on it. And let's go to the other side. I've got my black backdrop, another reflector, kind of working the same type of angle. I've got a video that I'll link right now about using these reflectors as kind of a rim edge light. In conjunction with that, I've got another 7-foot umbrella here on the left-hand side with another Manfrotto there. So those two combined for the rim on the left side, the strip and the other reflector combined for the rim/edge on the other side of my talent. And then my main or key light here is my boomed beauty dish. And with this boom, I can have someone help me, and they can, so when my players are out here, we can have them standing up, basically kind of where the boom is now, and then when they go down to like a lower position, that boom can be raised and lowered super easily. And you'll see some behind the scenes footage that'll show some of that, I believe. All right. So with all that, I am then tethered over here. I'm using my Canon R5 with the 24-105 f4 lens for this side. That gives me plenty of zoom where I can stay low and zoom in, get some detailed shots of the players, as well as get the wides full body. It's just a really nice all-around lens. Nice and light too, and you can see all my Manfrotto batteries, remotes, chargers back here with the battery getting charged. Here's my computer, my iMac that I'm tethered to, and then we will look at the other side of the set, which is the Godox set. First time for me using Godox lighting. Kind of doing that for y'all who have asked me questions about what lights to use with these Pro Light mods, but let's start right here in the middle. I'm gonna work this gimbal around. So you can see I've got 2 towels here. One on the right hand side for when I'm working the Manfrotto set, the standard type setup over here. And then I've got the other towel down here And this is what I'm doing. I'm sharing my fill light. So when I go from one set to the other, I will just rotate this guy around, and it's set to the optical sensor on here. So whenever the strobes are firing, this guy's going off, which makes things super easy, saves me from having to have a whole nother light. You can kind of get a view of the indoor or setup here. All right, let's start right here with my boom light here, kind of my main light. I'm using a Glow, I believe this is like a 34-inch, a little bit larger than what I've got on the other side because I'm shooting more full body on this side, and this is giving me a little more coverage along with my fill light back here. And once again, if the players go, you know, a little bit lower, I can lower this down. So easy to do. I'll have someone on this side that can operate that for me while we're conducting the photo shoot. All right, onto the wall here. So you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 strobes, AD400s with the Pro Light mods on them. The middle, I've got the 3x4, got 2 3x3s on either side, and then 2 of the 2x3s that are on the end. So it's a pretty symmetrical pattern. I kind of thought, to be honest, that we might change it around a little bit during the week, but it's worked, and we've just kind of let it ride for the week. To go along with those mods and the lights, I've got a reflector light on this side, and then one over here as well. So that just helps kind of accentuate the edge light and kind of fill in the light around my players, and complements the light coming out of the mods and this mod wall here. You'll see a couple of these there's more on the other side too, but this one right here is actually a constant light that the video guys are kind of bringing in, setting up here, where they're using this as a video setup as well. Let's go around back and I will show you how I have all this set up. All right, so you can see I've got these pistol grip stands. I believe that's the term for them. And I've got 2 different brands here. I've got the black ones here are the Manfrottos, and the chrome ones are Flashpoint from Adorama. And you'll see some of these lights are actually the Flashpoint brand, and then some of them are the actual Godox brand. So I've got kind of a mix here. Just trying out different ones. They're obviously the same, and there's no difference in these lights, but I got them from a couple different sources, so that's what's going on there. These pistol grips, these things are pretty neat, and I came across this when I was looking for somehow to set up a backdrop without using, 10 stands in this case, or using super clamps on C-stands, that type of thing. So these guys kind of solved my issue. And if you haven't used these before, you basically pull on this grip, which loosens this part, so then you can slide the light up and down and place it wherever you like. And we've got them basically just lined up here in the back. There's a little bit of quality difference between the Manfrottos, these guys, and the Flashpoints, and also a price difference. I think the Flashpoints are about $100 cheaper. These guys are a little more substantial, I would say, and they go a little bit taller, probably a foot taller, I would probably say. All right, to make all this happen too, instead of using the atmosphere aerosol that we normally use, I ended up going with a smoke machine, and this guy has just been a monster. It's worked flawlessly for us, creating plenty of smoke for the atmosphere that we need to kind of pull this all off here. We rotate this back around. We can kind of take one more look. Actually, I'll tell you what, we'll take a look from. So this is what my players will see looking out from the wall. So you can, once again, you can see my key light, main light right there, and my fill light right down there. And let's rotate back around. So another cool aspect, and another reason that I went ahead and wanted to build out such a large wall is we do have a lot of room here, and this allows us to shoot groups of players and make use of this whole space where the guys can kind of move around, do different things. And throughout the week, guys have brought props out here and had a really good time. It's been really fun to see how everyone's kind of interacted with what we have set up here, and the results, I'm sure I'll show plenty during this video. The results have been really great, and the player response, reactions have... And my audio cut out. But what I was starting to get to was just how the players were, really enjoying the setup. And that's one reason I added all those clips at the second half of that beginning sequence at the beginning of the video. In my opinion, the process in creating these images is just as important as the results. If the guys are having a good time and enjoying themselves, it's going to show up in the pictures. Okay, let me try and hit a couple topics before they end up in the comment section. Yes, the Pro Light mod set was 14 lights, and 13 of them were Godox AD400s. I've been getting a lot of questions from people about using Godox lights with the mods over here. So I wanted to try them out myself. Why the 400s? Well, they're less expensive than the 600s, and I needed a lot. And I picked up both a 600 and a 400 to do some testing, and the 400 did just fine with what I needed to do. So I decided to save a little money. More on the overall experience using them will be coming in another video soon, and that might be even next week. Was the 14 light setup a little overkill? Well, maybe. But in this case, I don't think I would say so. Was it necessary? Probably not. But we had the room, and it was pretty dang impressive when I started lighting it up with the camera. I actually had a 6 mod light set up a couple weeks ago at a photography workshop, and it really looked cool. So the options are really endless with different layouts, if that's something that you're into or interested in doing. Here's the actual sheet I roughly sketched out with the layout, and there's some math on here, I think. I'm trying to figure out how much money it's gonna cost. But the backdrop behind the lights was a dual stand with two 9 by 10 foot wrinkle resistant black backdrops from Westcott. I use those all the time and they're great. And I used just a solo one on the other standard setup. Okay, the dual light stands. And here's one right here. Get into frame. And I'm gonna have links to all this stuff down below in the description. But this is the Manfrotto version, as I showed in the behind the scenes portion or the on-set portion. And it worked really well. And you can see you can rotate these, you squeeze the grip here, and they go up and down. This one's also black. Here's the other grip right here. But this one's also black, so you can hide it in your setup if that's what you want to do in your final images. All right, future me, I'm jumping in here. I realized I left out the camera info for the Pro Light mods / Godox setup. On that side of things, I was using another R5, and I used my battery grip on that side with the 24-70 2.8 lens. And then I was also using the Godox remote because I had so many of those lights over there, and I wanted to obviously trigger those with the correct remote. So it was pretty much the same camera system, different lenses, and then different remotes. And what I would do is, once we were transitioning, or when we were transitioning between setups, just turn off one camera, it resets in the computer, and then flip on the other camera, and it loads up in the computer and capture one. So pretty seamless. And then I would just, as you saw, I would just rotate that fill light, and I was back to work on either side. But this remote worked great. I've got a video upcoming about my experience using the Godox branded gear. So stay tuned for that one. And now I'll send you back to the video. All right, finally, here's the little remote for the smoke machine, and that was the real trick. Not having to have someone work a wired button to set it off. And it was fun. It was fun watching people not knowing, how the smoke knew when to start up. And that we had some fun with that over the course of 5 days. All right, so I think that just about covers it. But drop your questions or comments down below. And if you want to see more detailed content from this shoot, jump over to my Patreon like I mentioned earlier. I also want to thank John Scott and the folks at Roberts Camera in Indianapolis for all the help acquiring a lot of those lights and these stands for the shoot. If y'all need a great camera store to put on your list of gear providers, consider adding Roberts. All right, y'all please give this video a thumbs up if you found it worthy. Subscribe below for more content just like this. Find me on Instagram at QuantsPhoto and at ProLightMods. Please stay safe and healthy out there, and I will see y'all in the next one.